Welcome to uARFIDwhatueat, a channel where we deal with some of the issues that somebody with avoidant restrictive food intake disorder deals with on a daily basis. My name is Chris. Today is going to be the first episode of what I'm going to be calling the Cooking with ARFID series, in which I show you how I cook certain foods. If you're familiar with this channel, you know that I'm very particular about what I do eat, and that I have a really difficult time eating new foods, trying new foods. What you might not know is that even the foods I do eat often are eaten in an exceedingly particular way. So I thought it might be interesting to show people how I cook certain foods, and one of the best examples I use for something that I eat in a very particular way is pizza. For as long as I've been eating pizza, my whole strategy has essentially been to get the pizza as it is, with the cheese, nothing else. I only eat cheese pizza. But when I get the cheese pizza, I take the cheese off of it, and then I mop up the tomato sauce that's on there, and I wipe all the tomato sauce off for the most part, until there's only like a teensy little layer of it left at best. And then if I'm feeling particularly exciting, maybe I'll put the cheese back on the pizza, after wiping off the bottom of the cheese as well, wiping away any of the oil or the little bits of like stick and seed that get stuck to the cheese from the tomato sauce. When I'm wiping the tomato sauce off the pizza as well, I will get all those little sticks and seeds and just little things that are a part of a tomato sauce off the pizza. So that the only thing that's really left in the end is just like this red stain almost on top of the pizza crust. At which point I consider that my pizza. I eat that. Like I said, I might put the cheese back on after wiping the cheese clean, but for the most part, I'll usually just eat the pizza as is at that point, with just the thin implication of tomato sauce on top and the pizza crust. I've done this for decades, and people always give me the wildest looks when I do this. It is one of the more embarrassing things to eat in public. So often I just won't eat pizza in front of people. But if I'm around people that I trust, or I'm hungry in public and I really have to eat something, and like a pizza slice is what's available, I will get that. Because I do like it, as long as I take off all the cheese and all of most of the sauce. This usually means I have a plate at the end that's just full of this like leftover cheese, and this can be kind of disturbing for people, I find. But in any case, that's how I get a slice if I'm going somewhere in public and want to have a pizza. But if I'm making pizza at home, I will take a similar but slightly different approach and kind of just make a very, very light version of what a pizza would be, essentially. And that's what I'm going to show you today. So this pizza is going to be really simple. It's going to be just the crust here. And I like to have a nice thickish crust. I don't like a thin crust because since I'm eating mostly only crust, then the leftover tomato sauce or whatever bits of cheese that get stuck left over can potentially overwhelm the actual crust flavor. And that can be gross for me. You can make this if you want at home on your own. I just bought a store-bought one, make it easy. But I have made it on my own in the past, and it is tasty. But that's a lot of work. I didn't feel like doing that today. So yeah, basically all this is going to be is this simple little tomato sauce right here, and this little bag of mozzarella. And that's it. Step one, I'm going to put the lightest bit of tomato sauce, the tiniest little bit of tomato sauce, like a quantity that would make people say, what are you even doing? This isn't a pizza. What are you talking about? So you can see there's really not much going on there. Then I'm going to spread that very, very thin on top of this pizza crust. Very thin. I'm going to make it so there are no like pockets of tomato sauce, because I find when I bite into a pizza and you get one of those tomato sauce pockets, I find it kind of nasty. Well, I find it really nasty, honestly. So I'm going to spread this as thin as I possibly can. And again, you'll see like I got like a little itty bitty pocket here. Spread that a little further out. I don't want those pockets. They get yucky. Spread, 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 spread. So yeah, as you can see here, it actually looks like more on the screen than it actually is, but there's very little pizza sauce on top of this, which is exactly how I like it. And now, since I have ARFID and I have texture issues, I'm going to be going through this a little bit like a little detective, and I'm going to be picking out pieces that I don't like. Like I've got these big garlic chunks all through it. I'm just going to be picking all of those out. Every place I can find them. Any little seeds, like there's a little seed right there, he's coming out. Just every little obvious stick I can find, I'm just going to be getting rid of. Wipe, wipe, wipe. And I'm going to rinse and repeat this process until I essentially have only little bits of sauce left. I need to see everything I'm doing here. I need to inspect this visually. I need to know this. That's actually part of why I need to take the cheese off when I get a pizza from someplace that's made publicly. I don't know what's underneath the cheese. I know it's only going to be tomato sauce, but even knowing that, I still have to see it with my own eyes. I can't just accept that. I need to see it. Big one right there. We don't like that. That's gross. Wash, wash, wash. Wipe, wipe, wipe. So you might be seeing this right now and wondering to yourself, why don't you just use tomato paste then? Or something that has nothing in it whatsoever? Answer to that is honestly that I don't want all these little things in my food. I don't want them like integrating with my mouth with the textures and all of that kind of thing. But I do want the itty bitty bits of flavor that they bring to the sauce. If you use just a straight tomato paste or something like that, it won't have the same consistency and it won't have the same flavoring. I want that flavor somewhat, not too much, but I want some of that flavor. I just don't want everything that comes with it. I don't want the little sticks and the dumb seeds that are in everything that I try to eat that involves pizza sauce. Next, we are going to be adding the cheese. Now, as thin as I like the sauce on my pizza, I like my cheese in a very similar format. I want so little cheese on here. I'm going to be taking this plain just mozzarella cheese. You can grate your own up if you want. I just bought a bag for today to make this easy. We are just going to put the teeny little bits of cheese on here. So little. I don't like how cheese gets when it gets too melty. It gets really oily and gross, which is why I'm actually using a very small amount of cheese on this. When you use a very little amount of it and you cook this long enough, it'll kind of integrate into the sauce and the crust as a whole, and it will no longer have that meltiness to it. It'll just be more kind of like one final hybrid product of all three things. And since I'm preparing this myself, and since I've already picked out all the little pieces, I don't have to have that worry like I would have if I ordered this from a restaurant, where it's the question of like, what's happening underneath the cheese? What surprises await me? Which means that A, I don't have to take the cheese off when I'm eating it, and B, the cheese is so thinly dispersed that it won't be a problem anyways, because there won't be enough to take off. Okay, we are done with the cheese, and now we have ourselves my ARFID pizza. Yeah, this is my little bitty cheese pizza. There's very little cheese on this. Again, less than it looks, I think. So now I'm going to fire this little fellow here into the oven at 450 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 minutes. The packaging recommends 6 to 8 minutes, but I want this a little toasty. I want it kind of crispy almost, because if you undercook this, it kind of gets a soggy quality, I find, and I find that disgusting. Plus, I find the crispier it is, the more it kind of gets any of the wetness and moisture out of it, and you deal with less like oiliness, I feel. Because pizza can get really oily too, and I despise oiliness in my food. It makes me really sick. Which is part of why I'm putting so little on this in the first place. If I had a lot of cheese on here, the cheese would separate from the oil, and the oil would just be all soaked up into this thing, and that is gross. It is out of the oven, and we have ourselves a little ARFID pizza. Hooray! Okay, so now I have my big slice of ARFID pizza, and that is hot. I should probably give that a second. You can see these little pockets here. These are what was the cheese. As you can see, it's kind of integrated directly into the pizza and become one form. A little bubbly, but it's kind of crispy at the same time. This means it won't have that meltiness that cheese often has on a pizza that I don't like. I'm going to pat this down for any little excess oil that happens to be on there. Pat, pat, pat. I don't have to peel any cheese off because I know what's underneath the cheese. That is a minuscule amount of tomato sauce. I know that all the little pieces that were in there are gone. It's got a nice crispiness to it. Appearance-wise, it is kind of visually all over the place a little bit, but I know what's underneath these pieces. I know that there's no hiding secrets. I know it's just cheese, a tiny bit of sauce, and crust. That's it. Smell-wise, smells great. Smells tasty, smells mostly bready, which I'm okay with. I love the smell of bread. Texture-wise, it pretty much just feels like bread. Even the parts that are like cheesy and saucy are so minuscule that you really can't feel anything but the bready vibe, so totally good. Taste-wise, it's not bad. It's not overwhelming. I'm not getting attacked by flavors here because there's so little flavor going on here. Any more sauce on here, and it would be too much for me. I need that like teeny little bit of sauce. Any more cheese on here, it would probably be too much for me because then there'd be too much cheese and then it gets oily and kind of messy. The mouth feels good. It's kind of crispy. It's easy to chew. That, my friends, is my version of the ARFID pizza. Well, folks, this is uARFIDwhatueat. My name is Chris. Thanks for joining me for the first edition of Cooking with ARFID. If you like my ARFID videos, I do a new video every Tuesday and Thursday, so come back around and check them out. But yeah, until my next video, thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm just going to eat this pizza right here. Yeah, have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.